Hello and welcome back to another Wii interview video here on Gamingtrend. I am here once again for the second year in a row with Ben Haumiller. How are you doing this year, my friend?
Man, I am doing great. Let me see. Last time we talked, it was before the game came out. You know, I was confident and optimistic, but we didn't know what was going on. And now here we are a year later. What, best-selling sports game of all time, all that.
Congratulations.
What a year. I mean, there's obviously, not a perfect game. A lot of stuff we're still doing. A lot of stuff we talked about today that we're adding in. But man, it is so nice to be back.
The reception from last year seems to be all good, and obviously there's always places that we can go up, and we talked about some of those ways that you have made impacts from last year to this year. But we're here to talk Dynasty.
Yeah.
That's why I play the game. That's why you play the game.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the biggest changes that you really wanted to see moving into from 25 to 26?
Yeah, 25, it was all about just laying that foundation. We had to build everything from scratch. So there wasn't the concept of recruiting. Like what we had before in the old game was antiquated, and we wanted to redo some things. We wanted to be familiar but new in a lot of ways. We had to build everything. And so, some of the stuff we built, and we loved the way it worked out. Some of the stuff we built, and we're like, we could do better there. Some things are just new that need to happen as well. So you think about this year, the three main things we went through were, what are the new things we need to add to help improve the experience? What are the things that fans have been asking for that we need to make sure are included? And also, too, quality of life stuff. Like, what are the things that when you're playing this game, some people played for 1,000 hours. I mean, I was up there.
Guilty.
I didn't quite get to 1,000, but I was up there. And just seeing these people, we joked internally, like, will people get to 30 years? Because a lot of people stop after a few years. And most games, 10 years is a really deep way to go. And people are like, oh, yeah, no, I hit 30, no problem. Oh, I capped out of my coach, super early in my development. That was us, like, learning on the fly of how deep people were going. And so now we came back with this next year of, so it was, building the new. It's what fans wanted listening to that, and also to those quality of life pieces. So you think about things that we've never done before. Brand new coaches, authentic coaches in the game. Head coaches and coordinators, working through to get the rights to all of them. There's still some that we're trying to chase down, but we're working through having those in there. And I think when you see those coaches come in, because most times I'm going to build myself and make myself as a coach and go on my own journey. So it's not like I want to go in and play as James Franklin. You can do that. You can go in and play as any of the coordinators we have and do that. But what really comes into fun is watching the coaching carousel. And seeing where these guys move to and their progression there. And then with the history book, being able to see not only the history of college football, but also going forward, everything that you've done gets tracked on there. So you can see all the national champions that have been in the course of your dynasty, all the Heisman winners, that sort of thing. That stuff's not just lost anymore. So those were great. Then adding in like the trophy room, for example, so you can reflect on everything that you've done in the past, and additions we've made there from the versions we had in the old game, or things like now if you're playing in Dynasty and you have multiple Dynasty files, we segment it out so you can see what did you win in each individual one versus just this mass of all the trophies you've ever pulled off. But another part too is like player progression. We never allowed you, even in the old game, we never allowed you to actually manually progress your players. We always let the CPU do that for you. And there's a segment of our fans, obviously, that want that control. So now we've opened that up to now you can choose to do manual progression if you want to, or you can do automated progression. So it gives you a chance to have more control over your team. The transfer portal. That was one where it was a big for us to add. But over a course of time, you just felt like there weren't enough players in the portal. It was getting smaller and smaller as you went. So now we've set it up to where you should be getting about 2,000 players in the portal every single year, kind of matching more what you see in real life. We did a lot of work on the deal breakers, which is how you're going to get players into the portal. And so like playing time, for example, that was one that, if you have that grade, that matters. But even if you don't have that as a deal breaker for a kid, if he's a blue chip player or a quarterback, for example, like they're going to care about their playing time. And so even if it's not a deal breaker, they're going to look at things like snaps to determine am I being used or not, to be able to figure out.
Which is different from depth chart, which was what the main thing of last year. Playing snaps seems to be the better way to do it, because then you can see like, oh well, this quarterback may have been the second on the depth chart, but they still had 80 snaps throughout the season. So that might. One thing that you mentioned that I think is really important for people watching is that you guys are listening to the fan base. And something that you brought up earlier today was the fact that your team would get messages from each other at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning from saying, oh, well, I just saw this on Reddit, or I just saw this on thing. And the fact that the attention to detail, because you were those people, a lot of your team were either like fans of the game beforehand or have been working on the game since the NCAA era or all these different backgrounds. But the consistent thread is that you're all absolutely big fans of this game. And so being ones to listen, I think for a lot of our fans that play this game, that does mean a lot. And those quality of life things, I mean, specifically for me, I'm somebody that writes notes down for everything, and you've seen some of those crazy, notes that I do. And having that big thing at the banner that says "Team Needs," and I don't have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. That's huge, and that was such a small moment, but it makes such a big difference with somebody that is playing for 30 seasons or is playing for what could be 50 seasons now.
To just have that Team Needs banner at the top there, that module, letting you know, have I hit my needs for quarterback? Am I one short of even hitting my needs, or have I overassigned that position where you're at? Just really helps you understand what you're doing, but also too, like I'm saying, you don't have to go 3 menus deep to find something. Back out of one screen, go into another screen, go into a sub screen to be able to, and then there was so many additional button presses and stuff we unfortunately made you guys do last year that we're trying to solve and make a better, more streamlined experience. And there was also too, I mean, one thing that fascinated me was all the videos out there saying this is the way to recruit in college football 25, and then no, this is the way to, like, there's no one solve, there's no one answer. So that was something that was very important to us, was to make sure that we had those different ways of playing, but also too making sure that everything was there that made sense to you too. Like Sway, for example. There was one video I saw that was great. It was just like, why even use Sway? It doesn't work. I don't even know. Like, we didn't explain it. That was on us. So we went back, and now you actually can understand, when to sway, will it, chances of it working, did it work, that sort of thing, which is really helpful. But also too, what was nice was we found our fans, they want to carve their own path. They want to, the exploratory part was such a great thing to see. It's not just, it told me to press this button, so I'm pressing this button, and here's my reward. Like, it felt so formulaic if you do it that way, whereas this, it's an unsolvable riddle. There's no way, you can't recruit the same way at Kent State that you can recruit at Ohio State.
Exactly.
Right? So, like, we want to make it feel that different and that differentiation of the schools. So things like location-based recruiting is something that we're starting to chip away at a little bit. This year we're doing it with visits, to where a visit will cost less based on proximity of home. So if you're a small MAC school, fish in your own backyard. Don't go for those kids in California or Florida unless they are really specialty you need to get, because it's going to cost you more to have those visits than versus only 10 hours to do a local kid versus the 40 hours that everybody was last year. So not enough people used visits because it was cost prohibitive for a smaller school. So now your Ohio States of the world, they can chase whoever they want to because they've got the budget to do it, but your smaller schools can be more regionally focused and kind of really build in those things to help you tell all those different unique college football stories.
Something else that is a change between last year and this year is progressive wear and tear between seasons. And especially for those of us who play a lot of Dynasty, it's going to make it so that you may not have the Reggie Bushes, the Ricky Williams, the real workhorse every down you're playing. Because, I think you mentioned it earlier, if you get to your senior year and you've been running the ball 40 times a game, like, you may not have the wear and tear there.
And you tread left on those tires at all. Right. Like, because you're seeing less and less of that, especially the running back position. It's becoming more of a committee type situation because a lot of guys don't want that tread. They want to be fresh when they get to the NFL. And so for us, it was that management of those players. So you have the season progression of their wear and tear health, and like you're saying, the career one. So where if you drain that player and just run them into the ground during the year, they're going to come back next year and they're not going to have the full bar of their their wear and tear health. And you do that again and again, it gets smaller and smaller. And so there's different ways you need to manage your roster now with that. So you've got a lot of settings you can do to determine how do you want wear and tear to work for you?
You have a setting for everything.
It's crazy.
The sub in, sub out.
So like, how effective do you want tackles to be on wear and tear? How effective do you want big hits to be on wear and tear? Little or a lot. And then also too with that too, the auto sub pieces. Do you want to keep your receiver room fresh? Do you want to keep them out there? Do you have the luxury of backups to where you can do that? And then my favorite part too is when we were doing gameplay, they were showing on the fly how you can make substitutions, but formation subs. Man, like, I'll tell you right now, that killed me that we didn't have that last year. That was one of my favorite features going back to PS1. Like, I use formation subs all the time, and we didn't have it there. And so painful year of not having it, but it's back now. And you can use those formation subs to help manage that roster of like, oh cool, I've got these 3 running backs that I want to get some playing time to because playing time matters and get some snaps. but also manage some wear and tear. I can now have in this formation and this set, this running back, this one over here, this one, have some unique packages for some maybe a backup quarterback, that sort of thing. Like you can have a lot of fun and flexibility there to manage your roster, and also to have a lot of kind of gameplay edges because of how you're utilizing your your expertise and your players.
Well, Ben, there's so much that you got done in 25. Seeing the jump from 25 to 26 alone is impressive. You guys clearly have a plan for what you guys are wanting to do. I wish you all the best of luck with launch.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty of places to see the blog posts that they have going out and all of the news that we'll have on gamingtrend.com. But I just want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And I can't wait. This time next year, I can't even wait to start telling you about the new things we have in store for that. So
excited. Hopefully we can sit down again next year.
But we have a long time and a great game to play until then. So.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll see you all next time.